Welcome back to another episode of our Wednesday Icon Talk. I am His Excellency Dakar, Director of Operations at GODSU, and I'm the CEO of Dakar Marketing Tools. In today's episode, we are going to be covering our master class, Mentoring Millennials and Gen Z, Moving Youth to Greatness. And this is sponsored by Reading with Royalty and the GODSU Junior Ambassador Program. Without any further ado, let's get started.
Oh my goodness, this is one of my favorite. It's Masterclass 4, Mentoring Millennials and Gen Z. And this is Moving Youth to Greatness, sponsored by Reading with Royalty, which is a company started by Her Excellency Queen Sudan Eubanks. And we have on here our wonderful, wonderful mentor, Dean Imam Dr. Talib Sharif Chaplain, President and Imam of Nations Mosque, Masjid Mohammed, retired U.S. Air Force, GODSU Director of the Interfaith Council, and he's our moderator, and he's also the first person that ever authored anything towards our current Islamic chaplaincy. So I'm going to let Her Excellency Cairo go ahead and introduce our wonderful, wonderful Imam.
Hello, good evening, everyone. It'd be my absolute pleasure to introduce our Imam, Dr. Talib Sharif, and talk about this idea of mentorship and the importance of it as well. And so I'm really looking forward to getting to share my sentiments on mentorship, being someone who has been mentored as well as has mentored other young people. And we'll go ahead and get started. Imam Dr. Talib Sharif is President and Imam of the historic Nations Mosque, Masjid Mohammed, located at 1519 Islamic Way, Northwest Washington, D.C. Imam Sharif is a retired Chief Master Sergeant of the United States Air Force after 30 years and holds a Master's of Business Administration from American Intercontinental University, a diploma from the Imam Mohammed Ibn Saud Islamic University, and is a graduate of the Defense Language Institute Foreign Language Center in Arabic and Middle East Studies. He's a student of the late Imam W.D. Muhammad, Muslim American spokesman for humanity. We also have Ms. Sudan Eubanks, and we just introduced her. And next we have His Excellency Dakar. His Excellency Dakar Chaplain is the MC for the GODSU Success Teach and Pray, the registered branding and marketing agent, as well as the engineer for all of GODSU media outlets. As the 24-year-old CEO of Dakar Marketing Tools, his mission is to identify, promote, and elevate his clients. These clients include businesses and personal brands throughout over 30 countries, as well as domestically in the United States. Dean of the Chaplaincy Program, Junior Ambassador Co-Director, and a GODSU board member, His Excellency Dakar incorporates skill, charisma, intelligence, and grit to provide quality service to his clients, company, and community.
So Cairo Eubanks is the new Future Foundation International Civil Society Youth Representative and member to the United Nations, as well as United Nations Department of Global Communications Civil Society Youth Representative Steering Committee member. That was a tongue twister. Lots of UN stuff, though. She is also the global correspondent for Global Ovid Day Seminary and University, GODSU, an interfaith e-learning institution. An accomplished pageant queen, Cairo Eubanks competed in her first competition and received the title of Miss Broward County 2020 for the Miss America organization. She currently reigns as Miss Black Florida USA 2022 for the Miss Black USA pageant organization. Her motto is everyone has the potential to become a leader if given the opportunity to see themselves as one.
Yes. And I have that quote as a result of one of the mentors who has guided me throughout my process and in terms of being the servant leader I am today. So I humbly turn this over to you, Imam Dr. Talib Sharif, and I look forward to hearing from some of my other panelists and as well as contributing to the conversation at hand.
Thank you, Her Excellency Cairo. This is a wonderful opportunity. It is an honor for me to be able to moderate such a panel with distinguished, I'm going to say present, future leaders such as yourselves. This is a great opportunity also for those who are listening in, those who are viewing in, also to learn. When we talk about millennials and Generation Z, we're talking about learning. It actually is called reverse mentoring right now, because a lot of those who came before don't know the kind of social media things and other things in terms of how to advance yourself that we see you all doing right now. So I want to begin with this kind of question, but we just heard about the kind of things that you all are doing, and of course, Malcolm X. And we all very familiar with Malcolm X and his life, and it has 3 phases. When he was young, in fact, in the 1st grade, he was in elementary school, he was asked by his teacher, "What do you want to be?" And he said, "I want to be a lawyer." Now, the teacher said to him, "Well, you can't be a lawyer, Malcolm. You need to try to do something that you can be." And at the time, we know that the state of the society at the time, that teacher recommended being a carpenter or something of that nature. And so the history says that Malcolm was an A student. He was the only African-American student in a class full of whites, but he was the best student. But at the time that his teacher told him that he couldn't be what he aspired to be, all of a sudden, it's like he said to himself, "Why am I doing this? Why am I excelling?" And his grades began to go down, and he began to become a troubled child. And of course, the history is, again, he ended up in homes and then eventually getting into a life of crime, and eventually ended up in incarceration. And then it was there he began to find himself, and he got back on track. Now, what I wanted to question has to do with Malcolm in his life, because as we look at how his life unfolded, he wanted to be a lawyer, and really how his life unfolded, he actually put America on trial. In fact, he had a case that was so powerful, they did not want him to get in front of the United Nations. So when he got as far as France, they made sure he was turned around. So bottom line is, what he wanted to be was a lawyer, and the history shows that he would have been I'm gonna say it this way, quote unquote, damn good lawyer. All right. Now, we see in his life what's a concept I call DAP, D-A-P. Desire equals ability, saying now that you can perform and you have the potential to perform that. And this is really something that God puts in every individual. So he has something in him that God put in him. That was a desire. And if it's there, then God is saying that if you have that desire that I put in you, that's really saying you have the ability. And all you need to do is be put into it in the environment to perform, to bring out that potential. So now I have to ask you, you're in your respective fields, you have your businesses. I need to know, what was your desire? What inspired you? Where did it start and how did it grow? And we want to start with His Excellency Dakar.
Yes, thank you, our Dean Imam, Dr. Talib, for having us as being a moderator for this panel. And that you said, the desire. What was my desire was maybe familiar. I started one of my first entrepreneurial endeavors, which was the car kicks restorations, where I customized several shoes. I customized, cleaned, repaired, and I started that in middle school. And my classmates, my teammates, I would restore their shoes and or I'll go to the thrift store and buy shoes and resell them. But my business, it was okay starting out, until I started to take on different projects where I would need to buy supplies, and I didn't know I needed to charge ahead of the time. So my bank account plummeted, and I was negative. I think it was negative 700. Yes, negative $700
in the hole. Right?
Yes.
Wow.
And I went to Chancellor, and I said, "Oh, I'm negative 700 in my bank account. Can I borrow that?" And she said, "I need to join GODSU's Junior Ambassador Program." And doing that, I got to be around people like Deanie Mom, Dr. Talib, our one of our deans. We've been at one of our first deans, Dr. Michael B. Roberts, and getting that mentoring is very, very important. So that was my desire, to not be in that situation again. And I learned how to structure my business, how to manage, and that was very helpful for me. Thank you.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that, and you brought out something. Before we go to the next one, to hear that, obviously we're talking about desire, is ability, seeking performance. But you said something in terms of that potential. You know when if there's an apple seed, okay, what is the potential of an apple seed? It is to be a big tree. That's the potential. In that little seed, the potential is to be a big tree. And but it can't become that big tree if we set it on the table and just watch it. It's nothing going to happen. But that's its potential, but its potential can't be fulfilled. So you have to put it in the environment. And this is where mentoring comes in. And obviously you got to be in an environment to cultivate that potential. And you just said something. You said something to the chancellor, and she said you need to be in the Junior Ambassador Program. So she began to put you in the environment to bring out that potential that was in you. And I'm just saying this is so beautiful as we look at where you are now. And so now let's go to the youngest one, who is also the one who is sponsoring this session, Sudan. And I love how you mentioned earlier about the area of land in that part of Egypt, close to Egypt, over there, the country of Sudan, what it means in your name and everything, and the beauty and all of that. And of course, all your names really is to say, what's in a name? Obviously, a name, means something, and they're bigger than yourselves. And I see you aspiring to do bigger things, even based on your names. So now, you being the youngest, and you certainly have a progressive track record right now at your age, and you're so young. And so you have a strong, long history starting from where you are now. So what is the start for you? We heard from His Excellency, the car, but now let's hear from you.
Thank you so much, Dean Dr. Talib Sher, for that question. Well, it really started around early elementary school. I was able to volunteer with the Best Buddies program, because in elementary schools, unfortunately, you are separated. So kids that were in the special education program, they were separated from everybody else, and I could tell it was isolating. And so I immediately, when I heard about the Best Buddies program, I jumped at the opportunity. And you can even ask my dad. At that point, I didn't really like waking up early and going to school, but every Wednesday I made sure I was up at 6 and school started at 8. You see what I mean? And so I just loved volunteering. I loved making a difference, making somebody smile, making somebody happy. And so, yeah, like you said earlier, this panel is sponsored by Reading with Royalty, which is my nonprofit organization that I founded April of 2020. Cairo, I did it in partnership with Her Excellency Cairo. She helped me so much starting, and she was really my mentor. And throughout the mentorship with her, trust me, she didn't act like my sister. She acted like my mentor. She was rough with me, but it's what propelled me and what made me able to facilitate over 500 readers from 7 different countries, and be able to partner with over two hospitals, having at least 1,000 kids a week, be able to see the videos, interact with the videos, and have different book drives where we've donated dozens of books to different hospitals around Florida. So
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. That's where I really got my passion and my drive.
Yeah, so you brought out some very important points there, really in relevance to how you got started. Passion is beginning to come out. You're young. But you had a mentor, and obviously it was someone that you trusted. And you said that it wasn't, just the feel good stuff. She was tough.
Yes.
Definitely.
So that's saying that really the mentor has to be one that pushes you to bring the best out of you. And we see that's what came out of you as because you paid it, you listened and you wanted to be the best. And you're on that track right now. I'm just thinking, obviously I met you years ago. The confidence that I'm seeing now, the articulation that I'm seeing now, I can see the growth in that. The company that you have now, you didn't have then. You were growing, you were coming, and you're beginning to flourish. The seed in you is on its way to becoming that big tree. And I'm seeing that you're already starting to have partnerships and things where a tree is so charitable too, in terms of how it helps all kinds of things, providing comfort and leaves and shade and fruits and all kinds of things. I see you beginning to do those kinds of things as well. And that's very inspiring and encouraging. And I hope the audience, those who listen, are seeing that in you being so young as they look at their own children, as we look at our children as a whole, as a community and society, in terms of what's in them that God put into them.
And I would like to just add, I know this wasn't part of the question, but the chancellor, she loves us very much, but she tells everyone that we are not special. We are not extraordinary. We are just kids that were shaped and formed. And so anybody can do this with their kids. Just start them off. Like I met you, I think when I was 10 years old, around that time when I was 10 years old, being around people
So long ago.
4 years. I remember I was in like 5th grade. And I met you, and being around people like yourself, like Dakar was saying, Dean Michael V. Roberts, around people that are extraordinary, it makes you extraordinary. So we didn't come out the womb like this. I promise you, we didn't come out the womb being able to, do public speaking. We were taught and shaped and formed. So.
Wonderful. And of course, we have to appreciate what the chancellor said to you. And of course, we consider it in the context to make sure that you didn't see yourself to be better than anyone else in terms of using special. Although we know that we all are special because God has gifted us with something, but she wanted you to focus on you and your gift and not see yourself to have some others didn't have. So wonderful. And of course, it's unfolding in a very nice way.
Yes.
Very nice way. All right, that brings us to you. Her Excellency, Cairo. Come on, tell us.
I would love to. So you've already begun that journey, I believe, by sharing the significance of our names. And I remember when I was first named Cairo, just as an aside, I remember getting a lot of letters, like as I was 6, 7 years old, and it would be addressed to Mr. Cairo Eubanks. And it used to bother me because I'd be like, I'm not a boy. And I used to go by my middle name, Rose, for about 2 years. But I realized the importance of my name. I realized the sort of historical data that came from Egypt and how we have been so inspired as a civilization by that civilization. And so my curiosity started to bring me to wanting to go to Egypt. And because our names are Dakar, Sudan, and Cairo, I made it a goal to go to each of those countries, to Egypt, Sudan, as well as Senegal. I got the opportunity from a college counselor who mentored me when I was in high school. I think we talked a little bit about this in the last one of the last panels, but when the housing market crashed, we lost everything. We completely lost everything. And the idea of even going to places like Egypt, Senegal, and Sudan seemed to be impossible. But I had a mentor, Mr. Monty. I will never forget this man. And he told me, you, based off of your passions, you're going to major in international relations, right? Look into this degree program, and I want you to be a part of Semester at Sea. Fast forward several years, I didn't know how that was going to happen. I saw the price tag for Semester at Sea. I was like, I can't afford this, but I still had hope. I still had faith because I had someone who was guiding me and advising me in some way, shape, or form, starting with Mr. Monty as a mentor and then other mentors throughout high school and college. I get the opportunity to do Semester at Sea. And it's such a blessing. Let me just say, it was truly a blessing because the year that I went in 2016, Senegal was on the list. And I said, that has to be a message from God. And when I got to go to Senegal for the and be on the African continent for the first time, I remember weeping, and I realized that my passion is really about cultural exchange, traveling, and being able to share what I've learned about the world to others. I had the opportunity while on my voyage at Semester at Sea to learn about becoming an Amperkosh ambassador. And an Amperkosh ambassador, what happens is that I received a grant to go to an international residential school in South India, and I taught there. And while teaching them, I was scheduled to be teaching English literature, but I also had a capstone project that talked about being able to use public speaking and leadership as a way to overcome some of the cycles of poverty that some of these children had gone through, being formerly of the Dalit caste, which used to be the untouchables. So these were the people who were the latrine sweepers, the street sweepers. These were people who oftentimes did not get an opportunity in life. But when I went on this campus, I saw these kids who had never left their country, but they were more knowledgeable about things going on in the US than you and I, more, you know what I mean? And I say that as a joke because I know that we are both very knowledgeable people. However, their understanding of the world without leaving their homes, without leaving their state, without leaving their country really inspired me. So fast forward, turning my desire into my ability and being able to help that be a part of my ability and connecting it. I've had mentors and advisors who have helped me create Bringing the World to Florida, which is an international virtual student exchange program, because my commitment is that I don't want to just be someone who has gotten blessed and have been mentored by so many incredible people around the world and just keep that knowledge to myself. But as a servant leader and as a global worker of God, it's my duty to impart this knowledge. And just like you were saying before about the importance of mentorship, right? And how there have been different opportunities that have been created for you as a result of the people you know. That's what we're all about with Bringing the World to Florida. And I can talk a little bit more about that. This will be a part of the Junior Ambassador Program starting in March. I cannot wait. But I want to take some of the different elements that you share about mentorship and some of the advantages of being mentored and being able to give that opportunity to children who oftentimes would not have access otherwise.
Wonderful, wonderful. When we look at what you've just expressed, and you having the opportunities to travel, you also are demonstrating and showing, and those who are looking now should see that there also what's called informal mentoring.
Absolutely.
Which meaning the environment itself, if you're put in an environment, the environment itself, because you are seeking growth, you're open to growth, you're open to have yourself broaden your perspective. You were able to benefit as you shared from the various environments from what you've seen in these various countries that you've been in. So yes, there are formal mentors, ones that you select and they help you, they coach you, but then they're informal, but it also complements what you need to help you get to where you are trying to go. So that is wonderful. Now this next question, I need you to think about this, all of you, because I'm going to ask you this question. You're leaders. You are young leaders right now, which if you're a leader, that really means that you influence people, whether you want to or not. There's direct influence on those who under your leadership, and then there's indirect influence with those who just watching you, who are admiring you. So I want to ask you, what kind of leadership example do you want to project to those who are being influenced by you? So think about that, each of you. And we want to start with you, Sudan.
Oh,
no pressure.
Give me 5
Yes.
Okay. I would hope that, just my actions would lead, positive influence on others, whether it be directly or indirectly. I've seen it in real time. We just went to FITSE, the Florida International Trade Conference and Expo, and I went on stage for 3 seconds. Somebody introduced me as the 14-year-old founder of Reading with Royalty, and explained just a little blurb about what I do. And five women just rushed up to me as I walked off stage and said, "What you're doing is amazing." what you're doing. We're so proud of you. We don't even know you, and we're so proud of you. And I asked for her for their business cards, and I realized that they do youth work with the United Nations. And I was like, this is God. And so her, just being attracted to me and coming over and being like, wow, I love what you're doing. We need more people like you out here. I see that, positive influence, as well as I see that over time of people just every single time when we have our GODSU events in person. Since COVID, we haven't been able to have them, but I introduce people on stage and people just rush over. And so many beautiful connections, so many, beautiful partnerships have been made through that. And I see the positive influence that I have in it. I'm so thankful. I thank God every day for it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Again, we got an audience listening, and hopefully they are seeing that. Really, I mentioned the word reverse mentoring, which is really the way you mentor millennials and Generation Zs right now, by having them articulate, what they see themselves, and then facilitating and helping to open a way for them. So I'm glad you begin to share that, and so others can hear that as well. His Excellency, the car.
Yes, sir. Yes. So with me, I am always amazed by how just being around the right people can really influence you. We were on a call this morning with our board, and our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Willis, he mentioned how there was a graduate who was, I think he was around my age at the time, but I think he has 5 or 6 years on me, and he and his mother graduated a year after I graduated with the chaplaincy program, and they graduated as chaplains when we were in person. I think you met them in Maryland as well at their graduation, but he had difficult times because he was getting in a lot of trouble. He couldn't hold a job and so on. And we actually we went to Maryland. We got to see his mother, and she had good news that he's working now. He has his own business now, and that the encouragement and me checking on him every now and then really helped him to start his business. So that's very important to me, is to be able to help others as well.
Wonderful, so wonderful. Yeah. So you've seen yourself in that mode now. So excellent. Her Excellency, Cairo.
It's my turn. All right. I would say that just based off of what His Excellency Dakar and Queen Sudan both said, they're both leaders with very different styles, and yet they are successful in what they do due to the mentorship that we have. It doesn't matter how necessarily you express or display your leadership. It's more so about the sort of influence that you can have on someone else. So there are different leaders who have different styles, and it works for them, and they have their styles. As for me, my leadership style is not necessarily a style, but an internal model. And that internal model is to be the role model that I needed when I was growing up. I realized that, when we talk about role models, and this is not to say anything about the myriad of mentors that I've had over the last 26 years whatsoever, but I didn't see someone who looked like me, who had dreads, who had been to, several continents. I've been to 26 countries by the age of 26. And I remember telling you a little bit before about when I was in high school, I didn't even know that would be possible. I didn't even fathom that would be a reality for me. And I've had different opportunities where I've gotten to be the first. I've gotten to set the precedent. I've gotten to sort of be an ambassador, a role model for other people, right? And it really stems from me wanting to do the best that I possibly can can, so that I can then be a good role model and a visual representation of what a leader can look like without having to necessarily ascribe to some of the stereotypes of what you generally see when you think of who is a leader or who is a CEO or who is an ed tech mogul, because that's going to be my next title. I want to be that ed tech mogul with bringing the world to Florida. But it's really about how can I fill in some of the gaps or the spaces, and how can I be a resource?
Wonderful. And again, we're seeing in this in terms of mentoring, in terms of what you just shared. There used to be an approach to mentoring that says, don't do what I do what I say. And that doesn't work on millennials and Generation Zs. But you said that you was looking for a mentor to be, and that's how you want it to be. So that tells us that in a state of nature, all human life, you look for a good model. You look for a good model. And so this next question, as leaders, you have to have a vision, and you lead with vision. That's why our vision is in front, and we move where our vision is at. But we all know that vision, which is where you want to go, vision without action, we know that's just a dream, right? And they say Dr. King had a dream, but it wasn't just a dream because he acted, right? He marched, he did things. Okay, now, so I want you to share from where you are now. What is your vision, and what are the actions that you're going to take to pursue that vision? And we're going to reverse it and start with Her Excellency, Cairo.
My vision is to create sort of like this metaverse, so to speak, where students, regardless of their location or their socioeconomic ability or status, I should say, they have access to leadership development curriculum. They have access to cultural exchange. So not just the idea of being on Instagram and seeing someone in Dubai, but actually having a teen or a peer who's interested in the same exact things as you in Dubai, and you can learn a lot more about the UAE as a result of that. And then opportunities that are resume building, skill enhancing, so that they are ready for any job field, any industry, etc. That's my vision. And with the actions, it's so funny that you say that, because I took time this morning and jotted down a whole list of different actions that I'm taking towards that. What have I already started to do? I've already created, these seminars, these workshops, the curriculum, the modules are already completed. I've already started working with different sponsors, different organizations that we can then highlight in our announcements, because we're creating partnerships. I was able to streamline my vision. And I think that that's really important to note as well. When you have a vision, it's great. But if you have a vision that is very clear and very defined, I know exactly what I'm going to be doing next week. I know exactly what my plans are up until June 2023, because our mission is to impact 5,000 young teens by 2023 with our programming. And I'll share a little bit more about that during my session, talking a little bit more about bringing the world to Florida. But it's really imperative to recognize that every single day, you can be taking an action. It could be an atomic habit, for example, an action. It could be something very small, but as long as you're making forward movement, that movement gets compounded. And that's why I am where I am today. I could talk so much more about bringing the world to Florida. I could talk more about some of the programs we've created, but it's really just about being very consistent, being persistent, and staying focused.
Wonderful. And see, there's an energy coming from you as you're speaking about what you're going to do, the action that you're going to take. And I'm demonstrating also as a moderator how mentoring is to take place now, to help people achieve their creative purpose in whatever field, whatever organization, whatever thing they choose. This is how you bring it out to help them. So, you mentioned the word plan, and because you have a plan.
I do.
And we know they say that those who fail to plan have planned to fail.
Yes.
Right. And so you say it's funny you mentioned that, because I just started doing some things today. You said I just started doing some things today. So action is the money of creation. If you don't act, it's nothing getting done. Exactly. And you can't act yesterday. You can't act tomorrow, because that's not here. You can only act now. So you're seizing the urgency of now. You're acting now to achieve a vision that you just articulate to us what you want to see and where you want to go. And that was beautifully done. Thank you for sharing that. And now we're going to go to His Excellency the Car. I want to hear from you.
Absolutely. And that actually reminds me of how you brought up the apple and the apple seed, and about opportunity, because putting that seed in the right area could be a difference. If you put it in the shed, in a dry shed, right, you're gonna say, oh, that apple was bad. I need to return it to Trader Joe's. But if you put it into the soil and you give it the right sunlight, you give it the right amount of water, that would be the right thing. So that's really important for me. So with the Junior Ambassador Program, we encourage the attendees, those listening, to really get your children, your grandchildren, your cousins into our Junior Ambassador Program, and they can grow like that apple seed. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Now, come on, give me some more. Give me some more. Give me some
more.
Long
term.
Yeah. So yes, my goals is really to be able to show those youth that they can grow as well, like that analogy I brought up. So really just encouraging more and having more people that can come through our chaplaincy program. Like I brought up that example of that gentleman that was a little older than me that was getting into trouble, but bringing them around the right set of people really got them there to correct their course.
Wonderful. Yeah, just so you can make sure they're going to be in the right environment to facilitate, to bring out that excellence that's in them as well. Absolutely. Yeah, that's very noble. That's very noble. Okay, Her Excellency, Sudan.
So as you know, I'm very ambitious. I have a very long goal of things I want to get done. Starting off, when it comes to, actually I have a really funny story. When I was little, my dad loves this story too. I think it was career day and I came out of school. I was like, what? We were living in Maryland, so I was in second grade at that time. I don't remember how old you are in second grade, but I know you're little. And so I came out of school, I hopped in the car, my dad was driving and he was like, how was your day? I was like, I learned about so many different careers, there's ballerinas, everything. And he's like, what do you want to be? So I think that's where my ambition started, because I was like, I want to be a ballerina, I want to be a painter, I want to be the president, I want to be a scientist, I want to be a doctor. And my brother cut me off and was like, hey, Sue, I love you, but you can't do all of that. It's not possible. You just can't. And so I took that to heart a little bit. And my dad was like, no, Sudan, you can be anything and everything you want to be. And I took that, I think, a little too much to heart. Since now I'm an academic, I do pageants, I do community service, entrepreneurship, public speaking, STEM work, especially with young Black girls. And so when it comes to what do I want to do long term, long list, but I think the last time that you asked us this question, I said that I wanted to go into freshman year of high school and maintain a 4.0 GPA. I believe I said that. And I would like to just confirm that I've been keeping that up. This is the second quarter and I actually have a 4.1 GPA.
Wow.
So thank you.
Started off strong.
Yeah, started off strong. As it comes to Reading with Royalty, I want to have all 190 something countries be able to volunteer. I want to expand across the United States, have all kids be able to, all children's hospitals, to be able to have an integrated system where it comes to having volunteers from all over the world globally be able to impact them. Also, I would, also going back to academically, hopefully. I would really like to go to Georgetown University. Like I said last time, still going for Georgetown. I really want to go to Georgetown University and major in international relations. Hopefully that will catapult me into a job working in the United Nations and helping out.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. You know, this is really demonstrating, you know, we're looking at our time right now. We have so many young folks like yourself who have not come into their creative purpose. And of course, obviously the answer is because they're not getting the mentorship. They're not getting the environment. And again, we're not talking about directed membership where you constantly tell them what they need to do to achieve a certain goal. Because this time, again, we're focusing on millennials and Generation X. They don't want people pointing their finger at them, telling them what they need to do, what they have to do. They need to do what we see is happening with you three right now. Mm-hmm. You are being able to allow to come into the excellence of your life and your creative purpose. You know, everybody has their own fingerprint. Mm-hmm. And that means no matter, I mean, they had billions of people that have come and they say there's 7 billions right now living right now, but nobody has the same fingerprint. And there'll be many more billions to come and they will still not have the same fingerprint. So that tells us that everybody has their own print to make their own impression during the time that they're given in the life that they're given. Mm-hmm. And so you all have is showing that then you've been in an environment of mentorship that allows you to facilitate the excellence, and you're able to come into and find your own creative purpose and your own creative life, and you know what you want to do. You're focused now. And those who are listening, who maybe have children who are not on the path, who are not where you all are, have come into that, because that's a question. Why am I here? Why am I here? And so you are answering the question for yourselves, but also for those who are listening. And hopefully this will be shared with others, because we all have to come into why am I here? And we're all here to do what you three are doing. And that's what mentorship is about, is bringing out the excellence that's in you. And really, that's true education, right? Education is called edudare, means to draw out what's naturally already in, right? This is beautiful. Mm-hmm. And so we hope the parents that are listening and others who are listening as well and viewing this, and this is being recorded, so it'll probably be shared with others so they can see what needs to be done now, because we're trying to close the gap. There's a gap. Some don't know how to deal with this generation. There's a generation gap. And that's one of the things that this session seeks to do, is close the gap and show how do we reach our young people to have them do what God created them here to do. And that is to touch and influence many lives, as you all are touching people's lives right now. You're sharing the excellence of human life as they look at you and what you've been able to achieve, because you've been put in an environment, as His Excellency Sakar is talking about. Let's get them in an environment so that they can begin to have and connect with that environment and begin to grow. You have shared how you were that seed. You know, when the seed is first put into the ground, you don't really see what's happening. There are things happening. You know, it's doing things to protect this life, to facilitate this life. It's being cultivated, it's being nurtured. And then all of a sudden now these things come up, and we're seeing them. We're seeing them in you three right now. You know, you have businesses, you're leaders right now, you see. Now, so this is where the next question is going right now. You three are entrepreneurs. You are doing for self. You're business leaders. Now, there are some that seek the path of just being employees for others, which that's good. That's good. So what I want to know from you now, I want to know your advice to those who seek the path to work for others, but I also want to know what you plan to do to help facilitate work for others. Okay, is that clear?
Yes.
I'll give you just a quick moment, and we're going to go back to His Excellency the car.
Absolutely. So I just want to make sure I get all of it. You wanted us to talk about how we're entrepreneurs and how we want to impact people.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So yes. So,
and not just impact people, but also how you're going to facilitate those who want to be employees. You may at some point in your people employ people.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So for me, so you all know I am the CEO of the Car Marketing Tools, and we're an international graphic and printing company, and we facilitate in over 70 countries. So we're international and based in Florida, but with the online platform, we have our Zoom for Profits course where we teach other people how to not only have a very nice brick and mortar business, but how to expand it so they can work internationally. So with that, I've been able to help ministries, been able to help different nonprofits, for profits with their graphics, their printing. You could see we all have our branded jackets. We have our branded jackets. We have our yes, there it is. We have our pins, our rings. We have you see our chaplaincy badge, which is official. You can see Imam Dr. Talib, he has his own as well. And I see, yes, we have our rings here.
Yes.
See, and we can have this to have your company here.
Yeah, it's clear. Yes, very clear. Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's how we're able to impact your business to make sure you're promoted very well. And so yes, I'll be glad to do that. Thank you.
Yeah, I like what you just said, because you're going to help the excellence of others and enhance themselves and enhance their products towards their companies and everything else. So that's good that you're broad, because you're in a lot of countries right now, and the opportunity is there to affect a lot of people that are trying to do just that. Thank you. Her Excellency, Cairo.
All right, I'd love to go. To answer the questions that you have in terms of the vision that I just shared with you about providing exposure, access, and opportunities to the children who need it the most, regardless of their socioeconomic status or where they are in the world, my immediate vision is creating internship and stipend internships for those students. And we're currently getting sponsorships and funding right now to facilitate that, because we want students to know that, first of all, the work that they do is valuable. Everything has value. Everyone has value. I believe that you shared that in the first panel that we had tonight, that everyone truly does have value. Yeah. And to say to kind of echo what you're sharing before about there's nothing wrong necessarily with working for someone else. There's nothing wrong with that, because guess what? When you think about these businesses, these corporations, who are they made up of? What are they made up of? When you think about the assets that a company has, oftentimes it really boils down to their human capital. So in my mind, how I see myself continuing to expand my businesses, Cairo Speaks, Cairo Writes, Bringing the Globe, is being sure to provide value consistently to those who work with me, work for me, partner with me. I want to make sure that they're growing. Last thing I'll share before I know we will go on to our next panelist, our final panelist, is this concept that Bob Proctor shared in one of his videos. And I can't remember exactly what he had said, but his assistant, he's had the same assistant for over 2 decades. And to me, I thought that was really beautiful. Yes. There have been people who have been able to graduate through his company and now have executive roles, or they have lived a life that they never thought that they would be able to achieve. And just because they're working, with him, they're able to see that vision. And so I want to be able to provide that same sort of package or those incentives where, as you help me and as you help our company grow, you grow too. You get value and you're able to implement that into your life as well. And then the very, very last thing I'll say is that when it comes to skill building, it's important that any opportunity that you have, if you're working with an organization or working with a company, that you recognize that this place is getting me to the next step. right? So maybe I'm in here doing admin work, I'm an assistant, but I'm learning how to organize. I'm learning how to file. I'm learning how to communicate with others. I'm learning how to, navigate some of those roles that would take me to the next level. So I'll end there, but I do believe that what you asked was a wonderful question.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you get the last word on this one, Excellency.
So I would say that since we are talking about mentorship, like Cairo said, there's nothing wrong with working under somebody, not being the CEO at the moment, because under mentorship, you also get mentorship from, if you're working at, let's say, Walmart, and you're scanning the different items, you can get, mentorship from your manager. That manager can get mentorship from the person that owns the Walmart. That person that owns the Walmart probably got mentorship from the person that is the CEO. And getting from the Walmart, analogy, I was actually able to attend the Hope Global Forum and conference. And there they had a chat with the Walmart CEO. And he's the CEO because he worked, at a 9 to 5.
He was doing the lifting.
Yeah, he's doing the lifting. He was working a 9 to 5, and then now he's the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. A multi-billion. Sorry, I was corrected. B, not M. And so that's just where it starts. As it goes to Sudan Dolls, that's the company that I started when I was 8 years old, as a solution to a problem of inequality when it comes to dolls and toys for people of this complexion. And so when it comes to employment and employing people, I would like to heavily focus on young people and giving them job opportunities. And when it goes to volunteering for Reading with Royalty, definitely going into, we've had some volunteers all the way from, like a 5-year-old reading with her mom, all the way to some people in their 80s being able to volunteer, but mainly focusing on high school kids, being able to give them, being accredited to be able to give them volunteer hours so they're able to graduate. That's where my main focus is when it comes to employment, also volunteer employment.
Yeah, this is wonderful. I know we're getting ready to close this session out. And so I haven't shared with the audience more of the reasons why I'm postured to do mentoring. Of course, I mentored hundreds of young folks in the teenagers and 18, 19, 20s in the military to become senior leaders. My wife and I, we had 3 children, and then we adopted 3 additional children, a set of twins and a young one. Twins were 5 years old, and the young one was 2. And then we fostered 9 children, not all at once, but over time. And so the things that the audience hear me, the kind of questions, really is one of the ways that we use to all of them are grown now, and they're very successful in their own right, because we were able to get them to tap into what's inside of them. And they were able to build on that, and they have their own companies. Some are working in the field that they wanted to work in. But we were able to bring those things out. And we had, just to give you an idea, we had those twins, they were 5 years old, as I mentioned. And they hadn't gone to school. Now, let me give you the situation. Let the audience see the situation. I want to connect this with the things that need to be done. The mother of these children had become extreme drug case. And we know now, okay, and this was sometime, again, the twins are 30 years old now plus. So that tells you how long ago we had received them. But we know now that the mother was suffering really from opioid misuse, but she didn't get the help. And so she became very extreme and got on other things, harder things, etc. And she had just basically lost her life. The father had went the other route with alcohol. So I'm letting you see the environment that was created for these children. They were in an environment like this when we received them at that age. And of course, a 2-year-old, because she was on drugs and things when she was pregnant with him, he had a lot of health problems. But anyway, we had to put them in school. And I call him the older twin because it came out first. When we first put them in school, they were calling him stupid, laughing at him, picking on the kids in school, were picking on him very much. And because we didn't know what's going on, I was working with him on homework once. And you know how they say something is as easy as ABC? Well, he couldn't get ABC. He couldn't get it. He'd get the A, struggle with the B, and the C would be already had left him. And I couldn't understand it. Now, I'd never let him see my frustration. But on the inside, it was like that duck pelling on the water, but you can just see him looking calm, but on the water he's pelling. So that's how I was on the inside because I couldn't understand it. But then we went to get them obviously tested now because I needed to see what's going on. And we found out that he had 48% lead content in his system. So now it's in the bone marrow, right, which affects cognition. That's why he was having a problem comprehending and being able to get things in school. The younger twin had 38%, because the little one, because he hadn't been around long, he didn't have a higher degree. But what happened was they were in a location because of their social circumstances, economic levels, they were beside a audio paint shop, and they were breathing those lead fumes on a daily basis, playing outside house and those kind of things. So what we did was obviously we had to create an environment for them of love, get them to see the X's in themselves. And before that school year was over, they had become honor students. They become honor students. And so one of the things that you three are showing to the audience, and that'll be for others that we hope they're able to see, that every single human child, they have needs that need to be facilitated. And what they need to have facilitated is for an environment that responds to bringing out the excellence that they want to achieve. Everybody wants to achieve. Everybody wants to produce. Everybody wants to see themselves making a contribution. That's why we see children, when they start drawing and doing things, they come excited to show. It may be something just scribbled on a piece of paper, but they did it. And they're happy. They want to show that. And our job, the mentor's job is to facilitate that and continue to coach and bring out the excellence, rather than be one who put in to try to make them fit into a mold for a particular position, for a particular this, but to find out what's in them, where they want to go, and facilitate the needs of that life. If we do that, and we're doing that in areas also in the inner cities right now, because none of these children that are on drugs, that are selling drugs, that are doing some horrible things, no one is born with that. They want to be just like you. They want an environment that facilitates their life so they can bring out the excellence that we see in the lives that you three have right now. That's what good mentoring does. And that's what we have to do to connect with that. So I know our time is about up. We got to transition, but I'm very pleased to have been able to bring out these things through questionings, so that the audience and then those who will see this after the fact will get great benefit from what you three have shared. It's been an honor for me, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate everything that you shared, and even the story that you gave us with the 48%, 38% lead. Oh my God. And so, you hear about children and you say, okay, why can't they be like X, Y, and Z, this child? And you realize that the circumstances are different. So you have to be able to help them. That being said, before we facilitate to the next panel, I did want to share that, we at one point experienced homelessness, and it wasn't until we had mentors, we had advisors, we had supporters to get us out of that situation that you see us being incredible. So we weren't like this. We had this potential all along. It was just enhanced as a result of that. The last thing I'll share is, Imam, I'm so grateful for you because you helped me prepare getting ready for Egypt and being excited about some of the places that I got to travel to. And I remember calling you up and asking, what do I do for Ramadan? Like, what are some expressions I should use? What should I be mindful of? And I want to take this time to let you know, I sent you a message via text saying that I appreciate all of the informal mentoring that you've done for me, but I would like to ask that you mentor formally myself as well as my siblings, because you have so much knowledge, and we really want to have a part of that and be able to share that with others as well.
Yes, an honor for me, and thank you. I really appreciate it. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Blessings. Thank you. Oh, that's so wonderful.
Oh, I just wanted to, before we end it off, I know we're down a couple seconds. I just want to say thank you so much. This is your second time doing this panel with us over Zoom. And we just really appreciate all the time and energy that you pour into all three of us. And just thank you, and God bless.
Yeah, and Sudan, you have grown in that past year, I tell you.
Yes, you have.
yes. Do we have that recorded so we can go back and compare and in action back then? Yeah, this is wonderful. You've been really blessed to bring the excellence out in your articulation. You've expanded in your entrepreneurship. in a very beautiful way. And I'm just grateful to be able to be a part of it, to see it, and to be able to share your success, even at this young age, with others, so they can see the potential and what lies in each of us.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes. So thank you very much for doing this panel again. I know that there's someone out there that need to hear this. So appreciate you and sisters to come on for this panel. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and it takes a village to raise a child, and you were part of that village. So
It does. It does. And that's very important. So that should tell us if something's wrong with the child, is something wrong with the village. If it takes a village to raise a child, don't blame the child, blame the village.
Somebody needs to write that down in a recorded book somewhere.
Don't blame the child, blame the village. And it's, you know what is, it's so funny is what you shared, mentorship is really an extension of that, you know, raising that child and a part of that village. So with that being said, we can conclude the mentorship panel. Thank you again to our incredible panelists.
Yes.
As well as our moderator.
Thank you.
And we're going to transition to Hidden Facts, Africans in the Bible. And I look forward to introducing our chancellor, our moderator. Blessings, everyone.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I want you all to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And stay tuned. We have some more messages that follow. I'd love to see you tomorrow morning, as we do have our God Success Teach and Pray every day. And I look forward to seeing you next week on our Wednesday Icon Talk. Thank you.
Global Ovid Day Seminary and University GODSU is a 501c3 interfaith e-learning Global Florida Department of Education Commission of Independent Studies approved degree issuing religious institution of higher learning under Florida Statute 1005.061F in Miramar, Florida, a suburb of Fort Lauderdale suburbs. Our curricula include programs like our theology diploma, bachelor's, master's, and PhD programs, which are designed for students called to the ministries of teaching and preaching. Program enrollees include pastors, evangelists, missionaries, and laypersons. Our additional courses: Entrepreneurial Studies, premier self-development courses on wealth building. We also offer a mini course for youth, the Junior Ambassador Youth Public Speaking, to gain professional and personal skills. Chaplaincy Diploma, Love and Spiritual, Interfaith, and Christian programs. Chaplains are trained, certified leaders attached to either a religious and/or non-religious institution or organization. Cybersecurity IT courses. Our licensed instructor has a 95% pass rate compared to the 30% national average for CompTIA accredited courses, such as Security Plus and Network Plus. 40% of our alum who've gone through our prestigious GODSU honors programs have also previously matriculated through their earned doctorate programs. Our alum include physicians, ambassadors, statesmen and stateswomen, icons and billionaires, religious leaders, titans in business, global philanthropists such as Ambassador of Ghana to the United States, His Excellency Dr. Bafor A.J. Bewa, Ambassador of Nigeria to the United States, His Excellency Dr. Sylvanus Musafor, billionaire builder and dean, His Excellency Dr. Michael V. Roberts, former Maritime Minister, Government of Nigeria, Honorable Dr. Leke Olawale. Our world-class and esteemed professors include Attorney Her Excellency Reverend Dr. Diane Moore Eubanks, Ph.D., Chancellor, Physician Dr. Eric Bizetsky, Clinical Health and Nutrition and GODSU Medical Expert, Physician Her Excellency Rhoda Makinde, Ph.D., Chief Medical Doctor, GODSU, Medical Missions, Dean Michael V. Roberts, J.D., Ph.D., Dean of Entrepreneurship Studies, Dean Kyra Eubanks, Dean of Junior Ambassador, Professor Willis Eubanks, Ph.D., Dean of Cybersecurity Program, Professor Imam Dr. Talib Sharif, Professor Interfaith Program and Chaplaincy, Professor Reverend Dr. William Blake Theology Program Curriculum Development, Professor His Excellency Dakar Ethical and Successful Marketing